You are now listening to the Add 10 Gallons Concrete Podcast.
Wait, the answer was add 10 gallons?
Add 10 gallons.
My first thought was we got to put Acti-Gel in it.
Yeah, great.
Truck's on the way. On the way.
Yeah, okay. I've got two observations, neither of which are really educated or well thought out. Which are like most of my observations are.
There aren't a lot of problems on a job site that can't be solved with a sack full of biscuits.
Today's episode of the Add 10 Gallons Concrete Podcast is brought to you by Acti-Gel 208. Acti-Gel 208 is a high-performance additive for the concrete industry that is greatly beneficial to the producer. It enables them to increase the percentage of manufactured sand by up to 100% and completely replace all the natural sand in the mix. In areas where natural sand is scarce, inconsistent, and expensive, this provides a huge benefit to any ready-mix company out there. Benefits of manufactured sand and concrete include consistent air content, improved compaction, and increased density. Now, in the past, the downside of using manufactured sands was that they were hard to pump, hard to place, and hard to finish. Well, Acti-Gel 208 solves all those issues. By improving suspension, stability, and the quality of the cement paste in the mix, Acti-Gel overcomes the old issues with manufactured sand and leaves them behind. Let Acti-Gel 208 improve the quality of your mix while saving money on every yard you produce. For more information, visit us at actigel.com. That's ACTI-GEL.com.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to this installment of the Add 10 Gallons Concrete.
And which installment would that be, Josh? Which installment?
I wouldn't be a good actor. I'd crack up all the time. You looked at me with like a grin, and I'm like, yeah, this is dumb.
And that's how we lead in episode 14. It's fun to be here, Joshua.
It is indeed fun to be here. And thanks for everybody listening in to this installment. We got Joey here as well. What's up, Joey?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good for being in Louisiana.
That's it. And that's only the fourth or fifth time you told us that. But now that we got all of our technical difficulties out of the way,
we really still don't have to tell everybody.
People got to know.
I'm not even going to pretend that we know what we're doing. I mean, we're concrete guys that decided to start up a podcast. You think we know what we're doing?
No,
Josh just threw himself under the bus. This is content, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
content.
Between forgetting to record the show and shoddy hotel internet that Joey has to deal with, and just overall, it's dumpster fire. But thankfully, they make really good software, so I can go back and make all this sound good. It's like nothing ever happened. Bringing the people good content.
That's what it's all about.
Yep. Indeed.
So, Joey, why on earth are you in Louisiana? Tell the people what you got going on.
Well, we're prospecting down here, preaching the good word about Acti-Gel and manufactured sand and whatnot. And another thing we're doing is sitting on I-10 behind wrecks on the interstate for hours on end and living off of leftover Southwest airplane snacks. So, yeah, that's what we're doing today.
I saw you posted that. And by the way, everyone listening to this would probably, I'm assuming, saw that you posted that as well because they follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Search out Add 10 Gallons. And if that were the case, you would see an update from Joey Bell that sitting in traffic today, he just decided to reach into his bag of goods and pull out snack mix from a Southwest airline flight. Who saves that stuff?
This guy, because of situations such as today. I mean, you just have that stuff's not going to go bad. I mean, it's just going to ride around in my backpack.
So tell me you're a hunter without actually telling me you're a hunter. It's like, oh, look at it, snacks. I might be stranded somewhere and need these later.
No. You know what the people need, the content the people need? They need to understand more about Joey Bell's bag. This thing is like the Mary Poppins bag of traveling concrete people. Joey, you've got to find that picture you have of like all the things that you put into your bag. Yeah. Post it to our IG. Everybody needs to go look. It's just the most incredible. You have no idea how much this man packs in this backpack. It's absolutely incredible.
Actually a whole lot better than it used to be. It's not that bad anymore. I've got a bunch of chargers and like adapters, like this adapter for the car that you can just plug in, so you have like 110 power anywhere, international things like that, so you can plug into anywhere. But it used to be that I had like a headlamp in there. I had the concrete Bible. I had, what did I have? I don't know. I will
Scale.
scale. I could probably find that picture. I think I posted it on Facebook, so I can dig back through it, because I do remember the picture you're talking about. I cleaned out everything in my backpack, and I think it was when we got new backpacks or something, or I got a new backpack, and I laid out everything just like you would do a gear dump or whatever. And like you said, it took up a good 3x3 area of everything that was in there. It may have also been when I had that boat anchor of a laptop, when I first got here. They gave me a 25-pound laptop. It seemed like it was from 1989, Computron or whatever.
Yeah, it probably cost $200 then.
No, dude, I remember. So IT had like 50 of them that they just got at some bargain basement deal, and they had them stacked up, and they were handing them out. And
Circuit City was going out of business.
and this place was a different animal in 2013. So they're handing out these boat anchors, and Joey goes, "Am I really supposed to travel with this?" And I was like, that's a really good point. And when we all got these like super slim laptops for the guys that were traveling, I mean, it was the only thing that made sense. And anybody who was flying a desk for a living, they got the boat anchors.
Right.
Yeah. I'm still on my second laptop. I don't know how many laptops you guys have gone through, or what number you're on now, but I'm still just on my second one.
I'm on number 2. Or
I'm on number 3. But
okay. Well, like when I first got here, they gave me this little ThinkPad that had a 10-inch screen. 10-inch
Gross.
Screen. And it was a leftover. It was a relic from Bob Purcell.
Dude, fast forward now, you have larger screens and automobiles in the dash.
Dude. Yeah. Dude. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll use this baby computer. And then, but like not long after I joined, I mean, I only had that thing for less than a year. And then they gave me like a PC, and then they gave me this Mac in 2015.
Right. Well, speaking of traveling and getting your bag ready, Joey Bell, we're going to be doing some traveling this summer because World of Concrete is officially back. Slow clap in the background. Very good. Very good. Thanks for the effort of Informa Markets, which is the show organizer. They just recently, this week, received approval from the state of Nevada to move forward with a live in-person version of the World of Concrete. So we get to look forward to that. June 8th to the 10th is the official dates. Those official dates were kind of pre-planned. I mean, back in January, they proactively just said, like, this isn't going to happen. We're going to move it to June. So between then and now, they were working to actually make it happen. And turns out that we're going to be able to go out there for the World of Concrete this summer. So we got that to look forward to. The proposal that the Informa Markets Group submitted, I mean, it was your standard. We're going to lay out communication strategy. We're going to have personal hygiene stations. We're going to have increased air filtration, social distancing, mandatory face masks, shoot temperature at the door, all the stuff. So they're going to do that.
How long do you think those people are actually going to keep those masks on?
And how are they going to enforce that too, with all those people running around in there?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's an indoor section, but like a lot of this is going to be outdoor.
Exactly.
And a lot of it was outdoor originally. Now even more is going to be outdoor. So you're telling me people are going to walk around outside in June in Las Vegas with face masks on? I don't know.
Concrete people? I'm not buying it.
No. They're not very conformant with regular safety laws.
Right. Yeah. And then the convention center, and this is a cool part. I want to talk to you guys about this. The convention center just recently completed a new expansion project. And there's outdoor sections of this expansion project. There's another part of the convention center that they built onto or in the entire campus, and there's an underground tunnel system now.
Wow.
Which is cool. I'll get to that in a little bit. This total project cost $989 million. Yeah.
Whoa.
And it joins the whole campus was already 3.2 million square feet. So it built on that. The finishing touches include the convention center loop, which is an underground tunnel system that will transport meeting attendees throughout the entire campus in Tesla vehicles.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, get excited. It's pretty cool. And then
sir.
also the Las Vegas Convention Center purchased the Las Vegas monorail from the city to preserve that transportation option. So
Yeah.
reading between the lines there, Las Vegas was like, listen, we can't afford to keep this thing going. And the convention center was like, we need that thing. We'll buy it.
Look, I'm not gonna say that like some of the closer hotels are trash, but
They're no
that-
MGM.
the ability to not stay next door and have the monorail to take us where we needed to go was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
I know the hotel you're talking about, Paul, that we will not mention the name. I honestly don't remember what it's called. I think it was been bought and sold a 3 times. But I remember the first time I went to World of Concrete when I first started here, I remember there were cigarette burn holes in the comforter, and the bed was like a pillowcase filled with doorknobs. It was very uncomfortable.
Well, I think the greatest addition that could possibly happen to the 2021 World of Concrete, and let's be honest, this is what the people want, is for us to arrive and do a live stream of this podcast at the World of Concrete. Joey Bell, are you going to be there? Are we going to make this happen?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
Josh,
That's all
are
I
you
needed
in?
to know. I'm definitely in.
Yes,
Come on.
sir.
Yep.
Yes,
we'll do
sir.
it. We'll do it. So the end of March, registration will be open for attendees, and then in April, registration will open for exhibitors. So keep your eyes open for that. Make your plans. Get there in June. We'll see you there.
Yeah, come find us. Stop by. Let everybody know you're a friend of the pod. We'll have to get some giveaways and stuff before we
need
get
to
out there.
Swag.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Stuff.
we'll get some. We'll get some.
Ain't nobody loves stickers more than I do. I got
That's
stickers on
right.
everything. Dude.
Dude, I was in your shop this week. I've never seen so many stickers in my entire life. It was incredible.
Your little golden tickets for buying thousands of dollars of gear.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You buy $1,000 worth of parts. Ooh, a sticker.
You're like, hell yeah. And it's, if you're like me, I buy a lot of First Light gear. And so I get a sticker for every package I get. So I've got like First Light stickers on a bunch of stuff. And you always find somewhere to stick another sticker somewhere.
I swear to you, I was kind of getting the sense that Josh was buying things to put in the shop just so he could have places to put stickers. There were that many stickers because your laptop, people can't see, but the back of your laptop's covered in stickers.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's nice. But then I went in your shop and everything, the refrigerator's covered in stickers, the walls covered in stickers, everything's covered in stickers. I'm like, all right, so this is his thing. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
I got a buddy that calls them cooler tats.
I like that. I'm
That
going to
is-
steal that for sure.
That is really good. But we were actually in Josh's shop this week for something concrete related. We're in our concrete lab here in Maryland. We are building the test rig for the anti-washout test. And we're reading the Army Corps engineers specification for it. They're working on an ASTM version. They've been working on it for years and years. The guys down at TEC in Atlanta have been kind of spearheading that. But you read in the Army Corps spec, and the metal basket is really the hard part of this thing because there is no basket. You can't just go buy the metal basket. And if you're gonna do it according to the spec, you got to have 3 millimeter holes on 5 millimeter centers. The basket has to be exactly 130 millimeters by 120 millimeters with a lid, and you got to be able to lower it down through the tube with a rope and pull it up at a certain speed. So when we're looking at that spec, and it's like, man, if only we knew somebody who was good at fabricating things with 15 gauge steel. It turns out that is one of Josh Hare's specialties. So spent 2 days in his shop to laboriously drill thousands of holes in this basket. But man, it turned out pretty nice. I saw it. I was over at the lab earlier, and I saw it back there. It looks pretty good, man.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
well
Yeah,
done.
it's not every day you get to weld something on company time, so I was pretty happy about it.
Nice. Y'all need to post that to socials. That's interesting to see.
Oh yeah. We didn't post a finished picture of it, did we?
No, we didn't. You did get a couple action shots of me welding though, so that's like hashtag new profile pic.
Yeah, it was cool. I people need to see what's going on. They're interested in what we're doing. So
Yeah. Right on. Well, speaking of interesting, we'll get to our guest here shortly. We have Billy Wagner on the show, and speaking of building stuff, Billy works with ProAll Incorporated. They actually build volumetric trucks, can't wait to talk to him about some of the stuff they have at their disposal as they're going through the process of building these trucks. I'll have plenty of good questions. Without any further ado, we're going to bring in Billy Wagner from ProAll.
Well, I was telling the guys, Billy, I was like, there's very few people on this planet that make me feel like I don't travel very much. And you're one of those people. Could you tell the audience what it is you do for ProAll and why you're never at home?
Well, I set up and teach people how to run their volumetric mixer. I mean, I teach them how to calibrate it, how to get it up and functional, and
Well, you're more than that, really. You're selling yourself a little bit short. So you also sell the trucks, as well as service the trucks, and then on top of that, man, I watched you. And then, when I met you at a customer site, I watched you change their mix designs. You're changing everything for. I mean, you just had the answers to all their questions, and it was really impressive. So we're really glad to have you here on the show.
I appreciate it. Yeah, hopefully we got me a second person to kind of help alleviate me traveling so much, so I can focus more on the sales too.
Oh, nice. Okay, when did you get that new hire? When did they come on?
He came on about a month ago. He was one of the mechanics at where I used to work, and so now I'm kind of teaching him the way I do it and kind of teaching him the concrete. He's got the mechanical side, so now I'm teaching him the concrete to get up and going.
That's great news. Well, one of the things that I learned about you, and I'd love you to share with our audience, is you grew up in the concrete business of sorts.
Yeah.
Man, tell us about your family history, about your dad and all that stuff. Man, it's just a phenomenal history. I'd love for everyone else to get caught up on your family history in the concrete business.
Yeah, I mean, my grandfather actually started out with a construction company whenever he got out of World War II, traveled around, and then my dad was born, and they grew up. Well, actually, my aunt, my dad, and my other aunt, and then they traveled around the state doing construction. And then Dad went to work for that construction company also until I think it was 90. And then my dad started at Custom Creek in 1990, and then I started in 99 and continued until 2.5 years ago.
So let's get into the story about your grandfather. So your grandfather comes back from World War II, and he decides he's going to start his own thing. And he met. Did he meet? Was it him who met your grandmother like at a diner or something? Yeah.
When he was with the construction company he worked for, they were in South Texas somewhere. I think it was Sonora. He met my grandmother in a diner, and then they were in Buda. Oh, okay. So they were just south of Austin. My mom corrected me. So they were in Buda, Texas, and then got together, and that's where they were until he died. Well, they moved to Dallas to settle.
If I remember correctly, he gets his trailer and he's got his stuff and he's rolling along, and she just joined him. She jumped in the truck too, and
they grew up. They got together, and she went where he went, and then the whole family just went where they went. That's awesome. The way it was.
It's like the Bonnie and Clyde of concrete.
Without the bank robbery.
Well, maybe. I don't know what they were charging.
As also, so talk about you talked about the guy that you're hiring. He's a little bit more mechanical than he is on the concrete side. What's your background, Billy? Do you come from a mechanical side of things, or did you come from a concrete knowledge base and you had to learn the volumetric truck side?
Well, let's see here. My dad was a mechanic at Custom Creek, where I came to when I started. So I started out actually building our own volumetric mixers. When I started there, I started in the fab shop, and then 6 months later, I moved over to driver. So then I learned the concrete side and got fluent with it, along with still working on the trucks in the shop. Because they'd send me out in the middle of nowhere and go, "Okay, here's your stuff. Here's who you can call for parts and materials, and away you go."
Wow.
Just throw you right into the fire.
Yeah. I mean,
sink or swim, right?
Yeah. I mean, me and the people I worked with, we would just do what we had to do to make it work.
What so you said you had to, or Paul was saying, I guess, that you were doing mix designs for customers, when you're out on these jobs or what have you. What kind of changes to the mix are you making, or why are you having to change the mix to make the truck run better, or are you just trying to tune the mix to the truck, or what are you
Basically
doing
tuning
there?
it up to, like I said, that one customer that Paul and I met, he was swapping over to that different ad mix. So just kind of setting those trucks up to do that and calibrating them so the truck knows how to run on it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, then every now and then you have to kind of fine tune the air entrainment so it'll dose up a little faster. Usually volumetric's a little harder to get the air entrainment because it doesn't have that time for the air to sit there and churn in a drum all the way there. So it's usually that's your one temperamental spot to mess with. But once you get it dialed in, you're pretty well dead on after that.
Mm-hmm. Are your customers using it for wet mix applications, or do you have like dry mix gunite customers too?
We do a little bit of everything now. We've even started producing our own gunite mixer itself too at ProAll. Because
Oh,
we
wow.
saw so it's got kind of some of the same technology we use on our concrete mixer in the gunite mixer to back it up.
Are there any differences in the trucks, like for a wet mix or a dry mix application? Or are there any differences? Or could you take a meter truck for a wet mix application and just use it for dry mix gunite?
Yeah, you could
Okay.
use it for a dry mix gunite. There are some things you would tweak depending on what mix it is. The older trucks probably calibrated on the low side of the cement, so you can keep the gates low. Because that's the biggest thing is if you're using a regular concrete mixer to do the dry mix instead of wet, you can bind up that auger real quick. So if you can slow it down, it'll help it with it coming out that auger without breaking or tearing up too much stuff.
One more question I got, and then I'll let the other guys start asking some questions. But one thing I've always wondered is how do you add fiber to a mix in a metered truck? Is there some kind of apparatus that doses that fiber right in there, or what are you doing?
So we got two different styles that we use in ours. We have one that's actually plumbed in and controlled by the hydraulics that uses bagged 1/2-inch glass fiber. And then we have the spool that you adjust the cutter to how much you need in a minute. But the way our computer is, you can tell it, okay, you're producing 31 yards an hour, and you can back it out, and you need to set your pressure at X to get your amount of fiber in.
That's pretty interesting. I never thought about that, just cutting the fiber, just in strands. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Billy, we're going to have a bunch of people listening to this episode that might not be as versed in the terminology and the overall history of the industry. So if you would, talk a little bit about the volumetric trucks that you produce at ProAll. And I mean, obviously you guys are getting new customers every day, which is what keeps you so busy. Talk about the progression of that industry, which is the volumetric trucks, and why either current concrete manufacturers or new concrete manufacturing companies would choose a volumetric truck over your standard traditional method.
Well, for one, they like ProAll, it actually started out in like 53, 54 years ago by a guy named Gordy Reimer. And they're built up in Olds, Alberta, Canada. And over the years, they kind of changed names. And then in 2013, 2014, the two companies merged together to change it into ProAll. But we still we call it the Reimer mixer still. Volumetrics have been around, probably 55, almost 60 years, somewhere in that neighborhood. They started out as being for quick repair stuff for like the military and stuff for runway repairs and everything. And then it's just kind of grown out into the public market. Custom Creek was the fine example of it. The family that actually started it was called the Reinhardts. And him and some investors had a couple of trucks, and he bought them all out and turned it into the largest over time, they got bought out twice, and they've become the largest volumetric producer in the world. They got basically 120 trucks, and they're all volumetric, spread out across the state of Texas.
Man.
And a lot of your new people that are getting into it and stuff, they're seeing it because they can't get concrete. That's been their biggest problem. You know, you got a lot of your big producers, they're 2 to 3 weeks out, sometimes even a month. They can't sit and wait on that job. So they figured out that they could actually go buy their own truck and take care of it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got roadway repair people that are like, hey, we can do this ourselves. We don't have to pay, $6,000 to fire a plant up in the middle of the night. And then plus on top of the concrete, they could just do it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then still control what they got coming off the end of the truck instead of having to worry about it from the batch plant too.
Yeah, so you can, for a ready mix truck, you're not going to have that leftover concrete that you paid for, and they're just going to go either dump it in, one of their block forms, or in some cases they'll take it to the dump, or in some cases, if they're shady, they'll resell it to somebody else.
A little water in it, it'll be okay.
Yeah, that's right.
We're not endorsing that.
No.
I think I say all kinds of things that we have to say we don't endorse that.
Yeah, it's like I said, that's some of the things about the volumetric truck itself is the fact that, customer could order 5, you go out there and you end up pouring only 3.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you still got 2 yards left on the truck. Or if you took a 10-yard truck out there, you got 7, something between 6 and 7 yards left on the truck.
Mm-hmm.
You could go do a whole nother customer's job with that one truck.
Right.
I mean, there's been times I've traveled across the whole metroplex of Dallas with one load on the whole day.
Yeah. And I think the batching on a volumetric truck is a lot more accurate, especially when you get down to like those 1 yard, 2 yard loads. We call them wheelbarrow loads,
Yep.
out of the plant. Your accuracy at a batch plant and batching 1 or 2 yard loads is not going to be accurate at all. Just from the way the clamshells shut, and it's just chattering like that, trying to make everything as accurate as it can, but there's no way to get it like you would a volumetric truck for a small
and
load.
That's what they're good at too. 1, 2 yard jobs. Heck, I've done jobs that basically I've had just enough concrete in the auger and finished the job.
Mm-hmm.
I did a pre-mix and ran it out, and that's all they needed.
Yeah. I'm actually real surprised at how few contractors, per se, would that don't have a volumetric mixer like that. Like you doing doing driveways and parking pads and stuff like that. There's guys that do nothing but that, and they order concrete, and there's no telling how much concrete they pay for that doesn't get used. I imagine they're good at measuring concrete and measuring how much they need, but still, it seems like just making your own concrete right there on the spot would be so much cheaper.
And then the fact that you don't have to order like 2 different loads. Like you could have a load for nothing but curb, and then you got a load for your flat mix. You can do it all off the same truck.
Yep, just adjust.
I've done it for cities a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
I've had cities that will pour 15 foot of curb real quick, and they'll back us back up to the head of the cut and do the flat work till we run out, or catch up to the curb, and then they'll start back over with the curb again.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's while they got their guys forming the curb, finishing off the curb, they're pouring the flat work.
Mm-hmm.
Then we catch back up to the curb again and go again. I've done that a bunch with a bunch of cities and different contractors even.
Is it mostly residential work for the volumetric trucks?
It's hit and miss. I mean, we do state work. Like where I was at with Custom Creek, we were doing state work, even doing TxDOT high early mixes, opening the highway back up and anywhere between 2 to 6 hours. And we were pouring 40, sometimes between 20 to 40 yards a night, sometimes even 60.
Good work for a volumetric truck. So 40 to 60 yards a night, just to give people an idea, how many yards can you hold on your volumetric? I know you got different size trucks, but just give the people an idea of what it is that ProAll offers and like what range of vehicles are we looking at?
So we offer anywhere between basically a 6-yard truck to a 12, depending on the cement bin. You're looking at almost 14 yards.
We've only talked about volumetric trucks one time on this show before, and that was when they were doing the construction at the wall at the southern border. And I think that's one of the strengths of volumetric mixer trucks is they have the ability to go into remote locations.
Yep.
And pour custom concrete in remote locations. Can you talk about any jobs you've been on, any wild places and crazy areas?
Let's see here. I've been all over West Texas doing power line. We did a bunch of power lines. We did one from basically I-10 in Ozona, Texas, all the way down to Del Rio. We went all the way down doing a rebuild on that power line. I've done a couple across the Panhandle. Then one windmill line from Odessa to almost Big Spring. And then
would be good for windmill bases, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then and these were just for the foundations for the lattice tower poles. This wasn't even for the windmills.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the line that they were going to transfer all the energy in the circle across the state with. And then we did one roller compacted dam up in where was I? Chickasha, somewhere like that, up in Oklahoma.
Yeah. Those RCC dam jobs, I mean, tens of thousands of yards.
Yeah, we had I think there was 8 trucks we were doing, and we were just steadily would pull up. They'd load us with more rock and sand and back down, run again till we emptied out. I think we were doing 2 loads per cement bin on those trucks on that dam.
Wow.
All right. So you've been in all these, far off places, all these projects. Tell us, what's the craziest thing you've ever seen on a job site?
That one's hard to say.
Take your time. We have an edit button. Take your time.
I mean,
we had our girl in Florida that we had on the show, and she says she saw a meth head who left the psych ward and was running through a job site naked. I think that so far has been the number one.
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Well, she was from Florida, so she had all kind of Florida man stories.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I'll tell you, I'm down here in Louisiana. Louisiana is just Florida with better food.
Yeah. Which I got some customers there in Louisiana too. Yeah, I think when I was working at Custom Creek, we had the city of Dallas emergency phone. So they would call us if they had a hole open for a water main. We'd come out and flow the hole up so they could open the road back up. And some of the places, usually at night, were the most shadiest parts of Dallas that you could get into. There's been a couple times where you've had the druggies jumping up on the truck going, "Hey, can I have some money?" "No, you need to go on." And yeah, there's been a few that and it's always in the worst parts of town. I mean, it's always in the middle of the night. The worst one I remember was it was the middle of the night. I get to the job site. It's a dead end road. And you see all the people walking up and down the street just steady. This is 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I get to there. They go, "Hey, we're not ready yet. We're waiting on rock for the hole." I said, "Okay." So they said, "You can go take a nap." And I'm like, "Yeah, really?" No. So I get back up in the cab and I'm sitting there and I dozed off and I wake up, look in my mirror and I don't see the crew at all. And I'm like, "Oh, great." So I get out and the first thing I do is I look in the hole to see if someone came in and got them. And they're not in the hole. So I'm like, and then I hear someone behind me and I look and they're all sitting in the truck laughing at me because they see me looking in the hole like I'm looking for them. It's just that part of town. And like I said, and I've had to go to I went to that same street twice within 2 months. And it was just man, this is.
I hear you, brother. I live in Baltimore. We got those places too.
Yeah, if we ever get Dan Stone on here, he can tell us all about the downtown plant and all his stuff on there.
He
that
could tell us
sees.
about how they had to put 1/4-inch steel in front of their lights because people were shooting them out.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. Yeah,
Yep.
we've had a few back where our yard used to be, where I used to work. The main road that runs in front of where the shop is basically the well-known prostitution street in
Awesome.
Dallas.
Yeah.
And so, needless to say, you'd see them wander up and into the yard. You're in the middle of the night trying to get ready to go out, and they're, hey, you want to have a good time? No, just you need to get out of here. Come on, just
Hold up. Where's this yard at?
you can't miss it. It goes north and south in Dallas on Harry Hines.
Well, we've said that a few times on here. I think is that they don't put concrete plants in a good part of town.
No, that's a guarantee. It's going to be in the worst part of town you can be in.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Well, I mean, you're on these job sites and you're helping people out. You're setting these trucks up. Do you ever have to put your salesman hat on? Do you ever have to put on a collar shirt and preach the gospel and tell people they need to start doing right with a ProAll truck? Or
I try. I do that all as part of my normal deal. It's just part of me. I try giving people the best thing that they can get. It's just kind of me. I've been doing it for so long, it's just second nature. So I try to steer them the same way that they need to be all the time.
Yeah. Well, we just got done talking about how they're actually going to have World of Concrete here in the middle of summer. Do you ever go to shows like that?
Yeah, I've been to 2 of them so far, and then the ConAg this last year.
So what do you got on your plate here coming up, Billy? I mean, the industry's all over the place. The price of building materials is high, but somehow they're still building houses, but there's not as much civil construction going on. Like, where do you see yourself traveling to, and what do you see yourself doing throughout the course of this year?
Shoot, right now we're already doing. I got New York. I got a couple more in New York to do. I got a couple, probably like 2 weeks worth of stuff in Florida. I got a handful here in Texas. And that's not even counting like if we got California and a couple other projects in like the Navy. I think we got a Navy deal to do.
When you say you have stuff to do, is that setting up new customers with trucks?
Yeah, setting up their new trucks. Some of them are existing customers, just kind of. Some of them don't really want to do it themselves, so they'd rather pay to have me come out and go through it and do it myself. That way they know, hey, it's there.
Right. What's that process look like? What's the turnaround time? What do you actually do on a setup?
Depending on really what they need, I mean, you're looking at anywhere between roughly 4 to 6 hours a truck, just depending on to get it ready. Sometimes a little less if it's a simpler product or not as many products.
Okay.
Well, I think one of the things that maybe y'all haven't seen, but I got a chance to see when I met Billy, was the actual computer and the interface for this thing. I mean, it's unbelievable how many settings that this truck had. You could just go from page to page to page. The amount of things that you could fine tune on these trucks, you could really dial things in. And to watch Billy just flip right through every page and hitting all the buttons and calibrating things, and numbers are flashing and changing, and he's backing out, backing in, backing out, backing out. He's getting things dialed in. And you just look at the operations guy of the concrete company's jaws on the floor.
Yeah, he's like, I hope they don't expect me to do
that.
Exactly.
Yeah. The VP was like, hey, you watching what he's doing? And he was like, yeah, kind of. So I don't blame these guys for wanting somebody like Billy to come in and get it right.
Billy, when did that shift take place in the volumetric market that kind of went from a more mechanical system to the electronic system?
Probably you're looking right around that 2014, 2015 year, somewhere in that neighborhood. I know ProAll made their first computerized truck in 2015. And then it was either 2014, late 2014 and early 2015. And then 2016, they went full bore with what we call the Commander, which is what Paul saw in person, was our commander.
Yeah, you need a commander to run the damn thing. And I don't mean that as a slight to ProAll. I mean, it was incredible. It really is a positive. You should have seen this thing. It was incredible. It was incredible what you could do to fine tune that truck. But
and it's only gonna get better too. They're already talking about the second version of the commander now.
All right. Oh, breaking news on the pod.
I don't know all the stuff. I just know it's getting better.
That's awesome. So in the electronic age, let's just call it, after that shift in 2014 or 15, would you say that going more electronic, it's completely opened up the possibilities of what the truck can do, or does it just make it easier for the truck to do certain tasks?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, really, when you look at it, because you're sitting there, you were limited by what you could trust your operator to do, is your first problem.
Okay.
And second, now that you got the computer that can tell you what you need to do, it makes it a whole lot easier and quicker to do it. You're pretty well spot on because you have all the information right there and looking at it firsthand. And the truck can tell you, hey, I'm not in target. You got to do something different. Especially like on our system, because if the cement, just as an example, say the cement's not reaching target, it sees that it's not turning fast enough, it'll throw the error code and shut you down. Like, hey, something's not right.
So there might be a little bit of a learning curve to learn how to use the software and the interface in the commander. But like once you get to the point where you're well versed in it, you're saying that the product is just way more consistent.
It is. And even from the learning curve, just you're already that much further ahead because the truck's kind of leading you what you need to do. Because you kind of told it what it needs to do from the start, and now it's, now the truck knows, hey, here's my perimeters. This is what I got to do.
Yeah.
And if it don't reach those targets, it sends you the errors.
Awesome. Yeah, we love that too. We talk about technological advances on this show all the time, whether it's talking between us three or when we have guests on, and we always talk about new technology that they can provide. But it always comes with that caveat that we all, in one way or another, work in a very mature industry full of people that are set in their ways. Do you ever hit that wall?
A lot. It's a lot.
The people listening to this could not see his eyes light up.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, why do I need that? Why do we need a volumetric mixer? What's wrong with what we've been doing? Well,
for 50 years.
Yeah.
What do you do to break through that? Is do you have a go-to, or do you got to kind of treat everyone a little different?
Just kind of one of those, I fill them out and just kind of see how it goes. I stay persistent. Like I've had a couple of customers that I've actually broke into this year and sold them a mixer, and they're going to be getting it pretty soon. So it's one of those, I stayed persistent for the last 2 years, and now it's paid off. Hey, we're buying our first one. Let's give it a shot.
Yeah. How often does it happen where when you finally lead them to water or show them the benefits, like you see that light bulb moment and they're like, oh, I can't believe I wasn't doing this a decade ago?
There's been a few of those too. And it's, it's just kind of one of those, the customer will call me and go, hey, we just did this and it worked. Yeah, that's pretty well what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, good job.
Well, let's pivot for a second before we get down the road of like bashing customers.
Not bashing customers. Trust me, I treat them all the same. They're all good friends to me.
Well, I saw you treat the one great, so I don't have any doubt with that. What I do want to ask about are the trucks. What are the lead times? How long does it take you to
shoot? Right now, we're looking. We got a couple still available in May, and then we're pushing almost to June and July right now, just due to the demand. I mean, it's gone ballistic. Like the UK's started back up, so they're ordering more mixers. Across overseas, just period, is starting to order more mixers. Plus, what we got going on here, that's been the biggest thing.
Where are these manufactured?
They're manufactured in Olds, Alberta, Canada.
Still in
Alberta. It's basically about an hour north of Calgary.
Too cold for me. No thanks.
Yeah, I know. That's what I tell them too. They can keep their snow.
Yeah. You guys know you can come to like Alabama and they'll literally pay you to put a plant here, right?
Yeah, the Canadians are stuck in their ways. They like it up there.
For sure.
Oh man, speaking of snow and ice, how was the winter storm that hit Texas? You guys all right down there?
Yeah, we did okay. We got lucky. We only lost our water for a couple of days because it froze, but we had everything else. A couple of us lost electricity and water, and then my mother and father-in-law, they had everything. My mom, she lost electricity and water.
Can you remember the last time something like that happened in Texas?
I mean, the closest thing I can remember is like 2000. It's like 2000, 2001 was the last really kind of ice cold storm, but it didn't do anything like this.
I saw
Right.
down there, Texas has a lot of kind of exotic wildlife, and wildlife has been brought in for hunting, or they've escaped hunting places or whatever, and it killed a lot of those because the ones that they have brought in there aren't built at all for cold weather. They come from Africa, they come from these different places, and there were literally hundreds of animals dying at these ranches and free range. If they were out and about, the cold killed a whole lot of them down there.
Yeah, I've been reading that too.
Yeah. You guys have anything else for Billy?
No, man, I've learned so much already from these volumetric trucks about the industry, about the history of it, man. I appreciate being able to get to know you. It was very impressive watching you work, and I hope I see you on the road again.
Yeah, without a doubt. It was real cool meeting you and everything too. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Joey,
Right
you got
on.
anything else before we let Mr. Billy get back to it?
Yeah, I've been a fan of volumetric trucks, since we started dealing with them. We got a couple customers that use them, and I've always wondered why they're not more common than they are. And I think with the new advances that you guys are coming out with, and the just the information that you have on how they can be more efficient and everything else, they're going to pop up more. We're going to see them more and more, just like you said. It's expanding. That market is. So I'm excited for it. I'm a huge fan, and you didn't have to sell me on them. I was already sold.
Yeah, they've definitely, like I was talking to a customer earlier today, and I said, look, I could sell you a used truck that we can print basic batch stuff, and then we got the newer one. He goes, yeah, I don't want the newer one due to the information that we can get, off of it. So yeah, the technology is starting to even stand out to the owners of companies for what they're trying to do and get started. Is what I've noticed too.
I do have one more quick question.
Mhm.
Do you have any ready mix customers that have like one or two volumetric trucks to service some small odd jobs for just so they don't have to fire up that whole batch plant for something?
There's been a couple. Well, like Josh was saying, Jason and them, they're going to have drum trucks with their volumetric up there in New York. U.S. Concrete actually owns Custom Creek. So basically, you got a ready mix company that owns a fleet of 130, 120 trucks. They're a big one.
How's that for vertical integration?
Yeah, it was a nice little buyout from us. It was fun going back to an actual concrete company owning us, because we were owned by Old Castle before that, and they had it shoved over in the block plants because of our sister company at the time. So we just kind of had to play with their rules. We had to do things all kinds of different, which it made us a safer company. And that stood out even going into U.S. Concrete, because we had such a safety standard going in. Here at ProAll, we've even started a consulting side to help with kind of going in and teaching people training methods, how to look at everything in the market. It's been a whole big, wide thing, kind of safety oriented and everything, to teach companies how to do this stuff now too. It's something that we've just really started.
Hey, and Billy, let everybody know what your Instagram, your company's Instagram. You're involved with that as well, but it's actually pretty good. What is ProAll's Instagram handle?
ProAll's itself is at ProAll Mix, and then mine is the calibrating one is at ProAll _ calibration.
Yeah.
Or just ProAll calibration.
Yeah. So if anybody listening to this wants to get just some visuals on some trucks, what they're out there doing, where they're at, those are a couple good places to get some good info. It's good stuff. You do a good job with that, Billy.
Yeah, I try. Actually, I got some that I need to do. I've just been kind of sitting on them, haven't done them.
Yeah, we try to, man. It's hard for us because we're not social media guys. Like,
this is really the first time I've even done this, so I've been kind of like, well, okay, hopefully I got everything.
Yeah, exactly. Us too. So we're always like, shoot, we did these awesome things all week and didn't take a single picture of it. But we're not picture takers. It's not. It's not what
that's exactly it.
Trying to get better about it, trying to help build the brand of the show, and we keep having great guests on. So we really look forward to this exploding and look forward to people hearing your show, man. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, it's cool. Like I said, this is the first podcast I've ever done. So
yeah, no worries. Everybody's the same. First podcast we've ever done. We just made one.
Yeah, we made it out of necessity because it was in the middle of COVID and we couldn't travel. I was like, well, let's do this podcast thing we've been talking about for a while. But it's working out, and we have good guests on all the time, and you're certainly one of them. We really appreciate your time, and thanks for all the information and wisdom you shared with us today.
Yeah, not a problem.
All right, man. Go keep your kid away from the industry and give him his headphones back, and we'll see you around.
All right, man.
Yeah.
All right, man. See you.
All right.
See you.
Bye.
All right, that's going to do it. Thanks for joining us here for the 14th episode of the Add 10 Gallons Concrete Podcast. And one final thanks to Billy for being our guest today. Thanks for the conversation, the wisdom, the stories. We had a great time, and hopefully you had a great time too. Tell a friend about us if you enjoyed the podcast. Also, give us a rating and a comment wherever you get your podcasts. And also check us out on social media. The Facebook page and the Instagram page can be found by searching out Add 10 Gallons. And we have some video content from this episode, and then we'll also have some teaser content from episodes upcoming and keep you guys aware and apprised of when the episodes will be published and dropped, and a lot of good content on there. So check us out on Instagram or Facebook. Again, one final thank you to Billy, and tell a friend about us. Search out Add 10 Gallons wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you for the next one.